Hey everyone, I'm Emeka here for my self-published Blueprint, and continuing the interview series, we have George Smolinski from Gutenberg Reloaded. Welcome to the channel, George.
Thanks, Emeka. I really appreciate you having me on your channel. This is a great opportunity.
Excellent, excellent. And you're over in Germany right now,
That's
and
right, the home of the printing press.
the home of the printing press. Well, I think
Right,
that's it's phenomenal since we're talking about publishing that you're where it really all started, right? That's
right,
cool.
right.
Awesome. Hey, so let's start off first with your story. How did you get involved in the publishing world? Give us some background on basically who you are and how you ended up right here.
Well, that's a great story. So Germany in the wintertime is terrible. Um, it's really bad. It's not like all little alpine villages. For most of Germany, it's like rainy and about 2 degrees centigrade from November through about April.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's kind of rough. And I have 4 kids, and this was back in 2012. My twin sons, they were 6 years old at the time, and most kids they invent their own fictional characters, right,
Right.
and their own stories about them. So it was a rainy afternoon, and we decided, hey, let's just write this down, and that's what we did. Like, they dictated the stories to me. They went ahead and made all the little drawings of their little imaginary characters, and we published it on Kindle because I'd heard, yeah, you can publish an ebook, and I was like, oh, really? You can actually do that? And that was it. We published it on Kindle. I actually even made it into a paperback at one point, and I realized, I was like, wait a minute, this is not as hard as I thought it would be. This is actually pretty straightforward, and I'm going to make money off of this. Like, I mean, if someone finds the book and buys it, right, there's a
Right.
lot more to it than just selling, putting a book
Yeah.
up, obviously. But I thought, man, there's an opportunity here. So over the course of the last several years, I've written my own books, and I started my company, Gutenberg Reloaded. That was back a couple of years ago, end of 2014 or beginning of 15. At that point, I realized that there was a lot of authors out there that were having issues with trying to get all of the ancillary things that I needed with a book. Everything from writing a book to covers, and then audiobooks too. I had dabbled in audiobooks a little bit before I started my company, but then I realized that as audiobooks became more popular, that's a potentially huge field. I mean, we can talk about the growth trends of the audiobook market here in a little bit, but most people had a difficult time trying to find a really good narrator, and
Right.
have a difficult time, like, even knowing how to get an audiobook made. So that's where we started to focus, and after several voice artists, we started to get a really good crop of high talented voice artists. And now at this point, we've done hundreds of audiobooks. We've sold thousands of audiobooks on ACX or on Audible and iTunes. So it's been a great opportunity to help authors.
Didn't you just cross a major milestone with was it?
Yeah. This was
Was
maybe two months ago. Yeah, 5,000 audiobooks sold.
5,000 audiobooks sold.
Yeah, so that's a few, right?
That's a lot. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. The thing I'm more proud of, though, is with our team. We have an excellent team of professionals that record audiobooks and then engineer them for ACX. And one thing that stands out is we have done, like I said, hundreds of audiobooks for ACX, and we have never had a book rejected by ACX for any quality control issues, which is pretty big, because if your listeners may or may not know, but ACX puts all the audio files through independent quality control checks. So if your book doesn't pass that check, it's not going to get published. So we have never failed that, which is pretty impressive after hundreds of books.
Yeah, no, that is pretty impressive. I've used some ACX narrators before, and even those I've ran into issues before, and it's a pain because the whole publishing on ACX, it's a slightly longer process. And so when you have to make changes and go back and you got to communicate with the narrator, it's a lot more work when it just doesn't go smooth the first time.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of back and forth, and it's an investment. I mean, it is. It's an investment, and if you get substandard audio and you end up paying good money for that, that can be extremely frustrating.
Definitely, definitely. Let's talk about, tell me exactly what is Gutenberg Reloaded. I was looking at your website. We were talking about some cover designers and things. Can you tell everybody what can they find on your site?
Number one, there's some resources that we put up there, which is probably most important. Resources on some of the smaller questions that people may not have even thought about when it comes to publishing. Some common mistakes that people will make, but also some of the ins and outs of publishing, especially audiobooks, and other things that we've learned along the road. And like you're mentioning, we do covers, we do writing, we do layouts, audiobooks. We even have had some success with Twitter promotions. So that's a service that we offer. So really, I thought of Gutenberg Reloaded because it's Gutenberg, the original printing press, right? Movable type. But it's reloaded. It's what authors need for the 21st century with independent self-published authors.
That's awesome. That name makes so much sense. That's really cool that you went with that. Let's talk about how using your narrating services, how does that differ than using the royalty split through ACX or just using an ACX narrator and paying them an upfront fee?
Great. Oh, that's a really good question, and we get that all the time. There's actually 3 ways to produce an audiobook, okay? You can record your own audiobook. That's something that is a labor of love, I know, because I wrote a book called Recording Audiobooks, and I did my own narration for it. And it was less expensive because then you don't have to, the only thing you have to do is outsource the, the engineering. You got to engineer the audio files. So that was the only thing I had to do. Okay. So that is the cheapest option, is to do it yourself. It is the most work. Okay.
Okay.
Then the other 2 options then are having a smaller independent publishing company like Gutenberg Reloaded do your book, and then, like you were saying, have ACX do it. Now, the advantage of our company versus ACX is the fact that number one, when you work with an independent company, it's a very close working relationship. Okay, when you're on ACX, you're really just throwing your book out there and hoping that someone will pick it up. Right. That's the problem that we found with, and I know this both from running my company, and also my wife is a voice artist for our company, and she has an ACX profile, and she's seen this too, what I'm going to say. If you have a shorter book, if you have something where, maybe it's 10,000 words, 12,000 words, if you have a book that short, that is less likely to have a high quality voice artist take that audition and want to record that book for that 50-50 split. Why? It's because it's going to sell for less, number one. And number 2, they don't want to take a chance. They don't want to take a chance on someone that is potentially, they don't have a proven track record. So she'll reject books because she's like, look, I don't know this. This book doesn't have a lot of reviews. This is an unknown quantity. I don't want to invest my time into recording this. So that's the thing. So we'll take any book. We will. I mean, caveat, if it's really poorly written, we're going to have to go back and work on that with you. Yeah. But you have a select crew of experienced professionals versus, I mean, it's when you go on ACX, it's kind of like going on Fiverr. Hey, let's see what we can find, right?
It's a great comparison.
Right. This is a curated set of people that after hundreds of audiobooks, you're going to get exactly what you need.
That's excellent. That's excellent. What are some of the things that people need to, I found a lot of people haven't put their books up on ACX because they think the process is daunting. It is overwhelming. It requires too much work. Can you simplify it for them? If they already have, let's say they have their ebook ready to go, what do they have to do? Let's say using your company, using your narrators. Can you just walk them through the process?
Yeah, it's actually really straightforward. Place an order on our site. That's easy. You upload your book. You upload your 2-dimensional cover, because we'll make that from the Kindle cover down to a square ACX cover.
Okay.
And then what we do, have everyone do, is fill out a Google form. It's about 6 questions that you get to choose the vocal qualities that you want for your book. Then what you do is sit back. We record a raw sample for you, so with those vocal qualities incorporated in the sample. Then you say, hey, yeah, this sounds good, or yeah, I want something a little warmer, or it was a little slow, I need something a little bit faster. We use that feedback, record the book, do everything that's needed to make it ready for ACX, all the sound engineering. We put the whole book through our own independent quality control check. Like, we listen to the entire book to make sure that it syncs up perfectly with the text, because ACX is going to want that. And also make sure there, in the odd chance there's any recording errors, then we can go back and edit those out. We send you a Dropbox link with everything zipped together in one file. You go on ACX, upload everything, because it's uploading it just like on KDP. And after about 10 to 14 days, ACX has your book for sale on Audible and iTunes.
And then you get full royalties. You don't have to do a royalty split or anything.
Right.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So it is. Well, I remember doing my first audiobook. It was a much simpler process than I first imagined it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I uploaded it was the very first book I ever published. It was horrible. That book, in about a month and a half, sold more copies on ACX than it did the entire 6 or 7 months on ebook form.
Well, yeah, and it's I think it's worth talking a little bit about the audiobook market.
Yeah.
Here, I got a good. Can I screen share?
You know what? I don't know how the recording. If it should pick it up still. We can try it.
Hold on. Share screen. There, can you see that?
I can see it. I'm sure it's still recording. So let's.
Great. All right, we'll go with it. Here's an infographic that we made on audiobook sales.
Oops. Hold on. And there you go. I'm trying to make my hide thumbnail video. Okay, cool. Go for it.
Yeah. So here's a infographic that we made on audiobook sales with some pretty impressive statistics. Here, this little bar graph here on the left-hand side. Yep. That's the number of audiobooks that have been published per year starting in 2011. It went from about 7,000 to almost 51,000 last year.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Also, this trend line here represents just a little infographic about how the audiobook sales overall are increasing. Look at that. 77 million Americans listened to an audiobook last year. That's a huge portion of Americans. Yeah. And even worldwide. From 2007, there was only 3,000 audiobooks worldwide. And now, back in 2014, there's 40,000. So this is huge.
Wow.
Huge. Okay. Here, I'm going to pause the share. Audiobook sales are really skyrocketing, but the thing to it that I think is important to remember is they did a study at Duke University a couple of years ago on The Economist magazine. Okay, and stay with me on this. This may even be easier to think about when we think about movie theaters. Okay, go to a movie theater. 3 sizes of popcorn.
Right.
Why are there 3 sizes?
Choice, options.
No. Okay, if there's 2 options, what happens is you get a pretty good split between the small and the large popcorn.
Okay.
If you introduce a 3rd size, what happens is you drive people towards the medium and large size.
This is exactly what happened with the Ford Explorer and the Ford Expedition when it came out.
Exactly. Same thing happens with airline seats. The same thing happens. Okay, now I have a digital example of this.
Okay.
The Economist magazine. They offered first offered a 2 subscription model. Okay, digital only or an inferior paper only. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they did is they changed it, where you could have paper only, paper plus digital, or digital only. Now, these 2 options, the paper only one was the least expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2, the digital or digital plus paper, were more expensive, and everyone shifted to that.
Really?
Okay. So this is the thing. When you have this is classic marketing. When you have 3 options, people buy the higher 2 priced options.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
no one except for bargain hunters, they want to buy the cheap option. So when you look on Amazon, when you have an audiobook, guess what the 2 top priced options are? The audiobook and the paperback.
Oh, wow. So that's a
Now look,
huge revenue boost.
exactly. Okay. And this is the other thing that is essential. The audiobook demographic, people that buy audiobooks are people, and this is based on consumer surveys. Okay. This is backed by data. They have a higher level of income and a higher level of education.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially if you're using a book as a lead magnet, or if you're selling a course through a book, or something like that with your book. It's a comparison between shopping for groceries at Walmart versus shopping for groceries at Whole Foods. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I love Walmart. I love saving money. But if you're running a business, do you want to court the customer that shops for the groceries at Whole Foods, or the customer that shops for the groceries at Walmart?
Whole Foods.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that shop at Whole Foods are the people that consume audiobooks.
Oh.
Okay. The audiobook consumer is more educated with a higher level of income. So you want those clients, those customers for your business, if you're using your book as some sort of a business tool.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that's why, yeah, it's more expensive to make an audiobook than it is to produce an ebook or a paperback. But in the long term, it's better for your business.
I've never heard anyone else mention this before. That was some phenomenal stats there. It's that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. So
cool. Let's all right, let's talk about where do you see publishing and audiobooks and everything going, like, in the future? Like, how do you see it, growth expected in 2018? Is it going to get even better? Have people missed the boat?
good question. Well, the Kindle, a couple of years ago, you could pretty much put up anything on Kindle and it would sell. Okay. I mean, I put up a book about imaginary characters that my 6-year-olds thought up, and it sold. I sold some copies of it, right?
Right.
That's not the case anymore. You need high quality, obviously. Okay. You need something that sets you apart. You need something that is going to provide tremendous value for the reader.
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow the publishing trends, which I'm sure you do, you see in the news that slowly the ebook market is being eaten away. The amount of ebooks sold are kind of going down and down and down. Right. And this is also driven to a certain degree, true ebook sales by the advent of platforms like Kindle Unlimited. Okay.
Right.
So. And assuredly, you've read people that have tried to game the system too. And Amazon's gone after them.
Right.
Like the guy. There was just an article I think in the Washington Post about one of the guys who was gaming the Kindle Unlimited system.
Yeah.
So those methodologies, they don't work. Like the tried and true produce high value content does, and again, not to beat a dead horse, but the perceived value of an audiobook is a higher perceived value than an ebook. So it is a perception of quality then for the potential reader or consumer.
So even by just having the ebook, the paperback, and then the audio option on your Amazon page, customers look at it and subconsciously or consciously, they're like, this book is going to be a greater value because it's available on all three platforms. Is that essentially kind of where we're going at?
Yeah, and it's a higher barrier to entry to get an audiobook made. People are becoming smart enough that they can take a look and they can see, whoa, that book, like, come on, it's like 12 pages long, and that cover is terrible. Like, this is clearly just not a good quality book, right? But if it's a 70-page long book, a shorter one, but still has good content. Oh, and look, they got a paperback version and an audiobook version. Hey, this is legit. Like, this is a legitimate, high quality content that I should probably consume. Now, the other cool thing about this is audiobook listeners are very faithful they have a high fidelity to the media. Okay, and what that means is they are dedicated to audiobooks. So if you get someone that is into audiobooks, they'll consume a dozen, 15 audiobooks a year. And the cool thing about it too is that if you have an audiobook, you have it on 3 sales channels: Amazon, Audible, iTunes. So the 2 largest, arguably the largest content platforms in the world, Audible or Amazon and iTunes, you're on there just by having your audiobook on ACX.
Did not know that part about the iTunes.
Yeah, it's really weird. And a lot of people don't know that, but it's some sort of weird, like, Amazon synergy that I guess they get along with that part. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. Anything else you want to add on audiobooks, or no?
I don't think so. I think we covered the good part of it.
So we were talking about covers beforehand. I wasn't even going to talk about covers until I looked at your website and saw that your cover designers, the way you do covers, is exactly what I've been looking for the past week on a book that I'm coming out with. Can you re-explain why should I pay $50 for a cover versus the $5 cover? I know one thing I explain to my students is, you can go with the cheaper cover in the beginning. Once your book is selling and profited, when you're revising your book the second or third or fourth time, you definitely want to invest in a higher quality cover.
Correct. So that is a great point. If you don't have a good cover, your book won't sell. I think we were just talking about that. I think the 12-page book that has a crappy cover. I mean, come on, like, if that thing's made by my 12-year-old, come on, that's really not a high quality cover. If that's just what you're doing to get started, okay, fine. Like, I get it. Everyone's got to start somewhere. But if you want to invest in something that will help push your book sales, that is a high yield way to do it. And when you pay more for a cover, in my opinion, and this is something we do, it should be more of a collaborative process, okay, than just all right, you get the cookie cutter rubber stamp, this cover is yours. It should be a cover's art. Okay, yes. A cover is art, so it should be you expressing to the cover designer, hey, this is what I really like in a cover. This is why I like it. I like this type of font. I like this type of layout, these colors, this type of imagery. This is the goal. This is the thought process behind my book. And they should take that and create art from it. Now, art is subjective too, so that's why it's got to be a collaborative process. And for us, about 90% of the time, we're able to get that. We're able to capture that. There is no cover artist on the planet who's going to be able to 100% satisfy 100% of their customers, because, again, it's art. It's what, you could have a great book cover, let's say like one of S.J. Scott's book covers, right? you could have two people look at that, and one person's going to say, I think that's a great cover, and another person's going to say that cover sucks, because it's art.
I love that. And I remember the first time for my very first book, I went on to Fiverr, got a cover designed. One, I had to go and find a photo that I wanted the designer to use. And I remember asking my wife, I'm like, the whole reason I'm paying for cover is because I don't want to do anything artistic, because I'm not artistic.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, if I'm finding a photo, then why am I paying somebody? And then she sent it back, and I'm like, that's my cover? Like, that's it? Like, you know, and after that, my wife, she knows how to use Photoshop and Illustrator. She's made every single one of my ebook covers going forward. Because I was like, I'm not paying somebody $5 or $10 or whatever, when somebody who just has basic understanding of Illustrator or Photoshop can just do the exact same thing. But then as I developed my books and I came out with new versions, I started spending more money on covers. But I really like your whole thought process and how you work more with the publisher, work more with the author to find that artistic balance. Yeah. Let's wrap things up here. I know we talked about some discounts. I'll put links in the description for the relevant ones, but could you explain what you can give, viewers of my channel, but then also members exclusively for my self-publishing blueprint?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to help your both the people on your channel and the people in your self-publishing blueprint, help them out with some of the services that we have to offer. So I would like to offer 10% off for any of the services on our site for any of the people that are on your YouTube channel. I think that that's a great way that we can help you guys out and help you in whatever way that you need help, whether that's cover or, audiobook, whatever it is, we're here to help. For the people in your course, they've committed to this. They've committed to being as successful as they can. And I like to help people who are committed. So I'd like to offer 20% off for the people that are going to be in your course, as again, a way to help those people that are super committed to being successful with publishing. Hey, let us help you out.
That's awesome, George. Thank you so much. I know people in my course probably going nuts, probably getting excited about this, because one thing I do preach, it's like, you know what, some of the services or things that I do offer, running companies, whatever, they're definitely not the cheaper ones. They're on the slightly more expensive scale, but it's problem free then. There's no issues. Like, you just get such a better result in the end, that paying a little bit more money, it's usually always the right thing to do.
Yeah. It's an investment, but it's you get a return on your investment.
You do. Well, hey man, thank you so much. I'll leave the codes in the description for everyone to use those discounts. And thank you so much for taking some time with me. I really, really appreciate you.
Absolutely. If anyone has any questions, let me know. And it's been great to be with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, George. Take care.
Bye-bye.